what does it mean to abide? Abiding is quite mysterious. We know it's really important. I mean, okay, so I'll just read from John 15. Jesus, when he's talking about the vine and the branches, mentions the word abide. Oh gosh, I didn't count it, but it might be 10 times. In talking about abiding in him and him abiding in us and him abiding in the Father abiding in him, us abiding in his love. Like, what does abiding mean? And then also in 1 Thessalonians 5:16 through let's see how far I'll go. Rejoice always, pray without ceasing, in everything give thanks, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. Do not quench the spirit, do not despise prophetic utterances, but examine everything carefully, hold fast to that which is good, abstain from every form of evil. So, pray without ceasing. That is another form of abiding, or another way of saying it. And so back to what does that look like? And I would say that we know it's important. And how can you even pray without ceasing? I mean, like, you can't exactly be in a prayer meeting all day, every day, right? Like, you need to get other things done too. And so I would say that this comes back to abiding. And what does abiding mean? Abiding, I would say, means being open to God speaking to you at any time. Like, being aware of his presence and being in tune to the spontaneous thoughts that light upon your mind. Being aware, like even picturing Jesus with us. Yeah, just being aware of him, open to him speaking to us, and paying attention to his voice, I would say, is abiding. And what's interesting here is in 1 Thessalonians 5, where it says, pray without ceasing, in everything give thanks, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. Do not quench the spirit, do not despise prophetic utterances, but examine everything carefully, hold fast to that which is good, abstain from every form of evil. So to me, this even talks of being open to the spontaneous thoughts that light upon your mind, which are spirits speaking to us. So it talks about don't quench the spirit. When we shut down from being open to hearing God's voice, we are quenching the spirit. It's as if we're trying to talk to somebody and they're like, like, I don't want to hear what you have to say. Like, I'm, So when we shut down our hearing capacity, and like if a thought lights upon our mind and we say, oh, that wasn't God, like, we're quenching the spirit. Which is one of the reasons why two-way journaling is really helpful, because it allows us to write down everything that we're hearing and then judge it later, which God says to do right here. So do not despise prophetic utterances, which is the same as quenching the spirit, like hanging up the phone on God, but examine everything carefully. So similar to my experience where I was hearing God's voice, is like, oh yeah, this is obviously God, and then I heard something that was obviously not God, and I wanted to throw the whole thing out. And it's like, no, don't throw the whole thing out. Just actually examine everything carefully, as it says in 1 Thessalonians 5:21. Hold fast to that which is good, abstain from every form of evil. So after we hear what God's saying, examine it after, not during, after. If we examine it during, then we're going to be quenching. We're going to be hanging up the phone and determining beforehand, nope, we're not hearing from God, shut down my hearing capacity. So receive everything that you hear and then write it down, and then afterwards go back and examine it carefully, as God tells us to do, and hold fast to that which is good, and abstain from every form of evil. Like, toss out whatever's not good, especially if it's evil, which lies would fit in that category. So if something is a lie or coming from Satan, yes, let's abstain from it. So I believe that that is what abiding looks like, is us being aware of God's presence. And something that helps with that is actually picturing him. Jesus, where are you right now? And then allowing your mind to picture him, and then also not quenching the spirit, but allowing him to speak freely and at any time throughout the day, and having a dialogue with him, and not being afraid of hearing other voices, because after you hear from him, examine it. Like he tells us to do that. Examine it. And even when other people are telling us what they've heard from God, like, don't shut it down right away. I'm doing this because I'm hanging up the phone. Don't shut it down right away, but hear it and examine it, and even run it by 2 or 3 other people and ask them if their spirits bear witness as it coming from God. So, yes, abiding is super important throughout the scriptures, and as of right now, that is what I believe abiding looks like, and would love to hear your thoughts on what you believe abiding looks like. We're all on our own journeys. None of us know the full truth exactly, and yeah, so just want to throw that out there. Would love to hear your thoughts also.